Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova. Teshuva, repentance, return, is not always pretty. Sometimes teshuva begins in fits and starts in ambivalence or in desperation. Writer Anne Lamott, reflecting on her journey to sobriety, describes being visited by grace in the distressing guise of having run out of any more good ideas. She writes that miracles are rarely lovely. A door opens, and you go through. And God is not waiting there, squealing with delight with Lay's and cranberry spritzers. You enter, and you can't even tell what you are seeing. But you know it is not good. People, she writes, seemed to want to help me get sober, which was not what I wanted. I wanted to learn to stop at 6 or 7 nightly social drinks. I wanted to wake up without hangovers. I wanted to be a person of integrity. I wanted all of that and a nice, cool drink. This week in Parshat Nitzavim, the Torah commands us, V'charta v'chayim, choose life that you might live. We always read Nitzavim, of course, before Rosh Hashanah, just when we're asking ourselves, how do I do tshuva? How do I return to the person I'm meant to be? Judaism insists that we have free will, that we have the power to choose. And yet so much of life feels sometimes like it's outside of our control. Often change comes only when every other door has closed. Tshuva begins when we hit a wall, when we've run out of good ideas. And choosing life, as Anne describes, can mean letting go of the life that we have known. And even so, it's human nature to cling to what we know, to cling to the familiar even if it hurts, rather than risk stepping into unknown. On the other side of the door, there are no Lay's or cranberry spritzers, only the murky future, only uncertainty. And yet the Torah urges us, choose. Choosing life is a creative act, but one that always requires letting go of something. Every choice means leaving behind the path not taken. It's no wonder that we sometimes resist. It feels easier to delay, to hope that maybe the choice will be made by someone else, perhaps by God, perhaps by time itself. Maybe this is exactly what the Torah is speaking to. Choose life. Make a choice. The month of Elul asks us to do heshbon hanefesh, an accounting of our souls. Rabbi Vincent Calabresi suggests that we begin by discerning what is within our control and what is not. When do we truly have the power to choose? After all, he says, our lives are complex, a whole matrix of individual agency and structural forces that cannot be disentangled. To answer this question, he compares two great rabbinic voices, Rambam, the Maimonides, and Rav Kook. Rambam insists on radical responsibility. He writes in Hilchot Tshuva, free choice is given to each person. If they want to turn towards good and be righteous, that is in their hands. If they want to turn towards evil and be wicked, that is in their hands as well. And he continues in another portion of Hilchot Tshuva. What, he asks, is complete repentance, Tshuva Gemura, when one faces the same opportunity to transgress and has the ability to do so, but nevertheless refuses, and not out of weakness or fear, but because they have truly repented. Rambam's vision is empowering. It's in our hands. But it can also be daunting and even lonely. Rambam might have told Anne Lamott that only true tshuva comes when she quits drinking out of a true desire rather than out of desperation. Rambam's vision of tshuva is completely focused on private, personal choices. If we follow Rambam's advice, we might feel quite heroic when we're able to change, but the potential for achieving tshuva gemura, or complete repentance, feels sometimes fragile and a bit out of reach, at least some of the time. Rav Kook, in contrast, sees us less as isolated actors and more as parts of a divine whole. For Rav Kook, the primary actor is not each of us, but God. Rav Kook describes a vision that focuses on the long arc of history as guided by God. He writes in Orot Tshuva, the world is destined to come into complete tshuva, complete repentance. This world does not remain in one condition, but develops continually. This evolution will bring creation, he says, to its fullest potential, both physical and spiritual, and with it, the light of repentance. For Rav Kook, then, tshuva is not just personal. It is cosmic. God is the primary actor, and all of creation is being carried along in a great current towards healing. We are not alone, and we are not fully in charge. Our individual repentance matters, but it's one thread in a vast tapestry. This view, I think, leaves us feeling less lonely, but also less empowered. And perhaps if God has everything figured out already, we might be less motivated to make good choices or to make any choice at all. Each view, Rambam's and Rav Kook's, is powerful, yet it's incomplete. Rambam gives us responsibility, but risks isolation. Rav Kook gives us belonging, but risks passivity. Together, held together, they reflect our lived reality. Sometimes we feel the frightening freedom choice. Our choices or avoidance of choice can make a real difference in the world. And sometimes we feel, we know, we sense that we are being carried along by forces larger than ourselves. So, how do we choose life? How do we practice tshuva? We can begin by asking ourselves, where have I avoided taking responsibility, hiding behind the excuse that I have no control? Where, on the other hand, have I tried to control what is not mine to control instead of trusting God? And where in this holy season am I being called to step through the door into the unknown, even if what waits there are not Lays and cranberry spritzers, but uncertainty? Choose life. Choose life even when it's messy. Choose life even when you don't know what's on the other side of the door. Choose life because it is through that uncertain doorway that the future and all of its potential for healing and wholeness waits for us. Shabbat Shalom and Shana Tova.